Good morning. Second here. Still getting reacclimated to this other platform this morning. Screen. There we go. All right. Where are we at here? Well, Friday was a little backing off ahead of the weekend. Let's get to the futures. Okay. So it's more of the same, really nothing's, for the most part, really nothing of significance has changed. The trend is up in multiple time frames in many things. And higher highs, right? New higher high, slightly higher low. So things were a little in question back here because of the depth of retracement, but reversal at the rising 20, pivot low there, topping tail on Friday. And one thing to look for today is, does it take out? I'm talking futures, we'll look at the other things. Does it take out Friday's high, especially on a closing basis, or does it close under Friday's low? Right? And if it does that, that would suggest maybe a move down or just sideways chop. Futures are at a whole number. That's, I think, only relevant to those trading this instrument. Primarily, it's the underlying that we look at to see if it's at a whole number as some reference. You can see here the S&P SPX, is at 6715. So it did close above 6,700, and a similar pattern there. Higher low. Breadth sentiment is starting to inch up toward that danger level, but still not there. And this is one of the put call ratios. There's the other. It's still not there. Breadth is under zero, which is historically unusual. I was going to say ridiculous in an upward trend like this in the broader markets. I don't remember ever seeing it like that for this amount of time, but it is what it is. And at some point, it always happens. At some point, these are going to reach these higher levels together, and we're going to know without any uncertainty that the market is going to pull back or correct or whatever. And because it's been going up for such a period of time, it's probably going to correct for a longer period. Now, that doesn't mean crash, but just common sense. Now, um, does it accelerate? Can you imagine? Will it hit 7,000 before the end of the year? That seems crazy, but hey, the way this market's been advancing, well, the futures, but we got to look at SPX. Now that's 300 points from there. Anyway, let's look around like we always do. So we got the red bar on the NASDAQ futures on Friday. One thing that you learn is markets can go up more than you can imagine. And one red bar doesn't mean short in an uptrend. So don't get enamored by a red bar. And you see sometimes things pull back as they did here, or as they did here and here, but don't swing short in an uptrend. Short intraday when you have the proper alignment, do call spreads, but don't go short against an uptrend. And so things are up here today. Dan shared with me Advanced Micro Devices. What a move. I haven't had a time to check the news. I guess he has. He'll share it with you. But here's a red bar ignored. Now, it's a little after 9 o'clock. How does this bar close? And it could close with a topping tail. We don't make assumptions on a daily bar before we get closer to the end of the day. And so you can see overnight was an initial gap up, correction bar, up, new high. Dow continuing to be the laggard, but playing some catch up. This could be an intraday trade on the long side. Maybe this pushes back up toward that high. I would set an alert down below the lows, but again, uptrend, uptrend, uptrend. And if you could take out those highs, maybe you can attack Friday's high. Russell, uptrend, and there's that bottoming pattern. And the Dow continues to underperform, but this one is almost reaching that prior high, Friday's high. It could take it out, but I personally would not go long after taking out that high. I'd wait for a pullback or some kind of retracement or some kind of continuation pattern, right? Down here is where the higher probability setup was, especially after that bottoming tail bar. Right? And now, going from a pullback towards support to a greater than 100% retracement, I spoke about this last week, momentum historically stalls. So we'll see what happens today. Oil broke down last week, and as it often does, and this is the idea of a greater than 100% retracement. It doesn't mean it won't keep going down, right? But here was all the support. It was all the resistance, greater than 100% retracement. Momentum usually stalls. It usually doesn't collapse. And here, greater than 100% retracement, momentum stalls. So there's been news about supply increases. Saudi's going to increase supply. I guess Trump's trip there, making friends, is paying off. And so oil, with that big reversal, you see on the weekly chart, setting up potentially a move lower. And so that'll alleviate more inflation concerns if this continues to go down. Interest rates. Oh, gold. We'll get to interest rates. Hold, continue going up. Uncertainty, debt, whatever. It's in a bull market. And when you see minor consolidations after a push up, no pullback to minor support, that's a bull market. Right? There's a red bar ignored. That's why you don't short one red bar in an uptrend, even if, well, if it's extended, this is extended from the 50, a little bit from the 200. I guess if you're a indicator aficionado, your RSI is overbought, and this should be a lesson that means nothing. That continues to go up. And silver, pulling back a little bit on the 65 here, but new highs, bullish 180, getting a little extended. Looks like it'll go higher. Hey, Bitcoin, incredible, right? Pushing up there. That's a new closing high. So those tails up there, right? The close was there. New closing high. And over here, we were talking about, is it going to roll over? And it was correcting for a few months. Right? Uptrend resumes, new high. Right? It's basically a party everywhere. Now, there's some things that are underperforming, but sure as hell isn't in semiconductors. And so there you go. Right? That's pushing up to 344. Wow. I guess that's on AMD. I don't know. I didn't check any of the others that maybe they're moving along with it or whatever the news is. But, that kind of a gap up typically does not go a lot further. And when I thought it was a short-term exhaustion when it gapped up here, meaning, to pull back and fill the gap. Well, that didn't happen. So we'll be checking those out. Here's the other one. That one isn't gapping as far. So you got to look at the stocks within there, the ones that may be playing catch up. So, yeah, regional banks is, concerns about commercial real estate. And, this pulled back to the support area, lower high, lower low, some early buying there, lots of resistance, but let's keep an eye on this week to see, how it deals with this resistance supply area. It may be a time where the regionals, this may be a catch-up trade. So yeah, I mean, it's gapping up into resistance, so it's not the time to be buying it, but um, let's see what this does here. Okay. All right. I'm reading Dan's comments and those in the room there, so I'm getting a little, make sure none of it's for me. So far it has not been. All right, where are my interest rates here? All right. So gapping up a bit. Markets are up. So, trending down, maybe sideways. Nothing really much to take away from there. Well, financials. I don't know what's up with them, but the big mess going on there. Just this sector, nothing to do. And some of the leaders, JP Morgan pulled back last week. So some selling there for whatever reason. And yeah, let's look at the gaps on the here. So Q's gapping up a little bit, right? Just gapping above the red bar. So that's a good thing, meaning, you had 2 days of red that held the minor support, and now it's gapping above the high of a red bar. I think it could go higher, unless it doesn't, of course. But we need a pattern on a smaller time frame, which I'll be looking for. That can aligns up with this price action. I don't know if that's a bad tick. Maybe it is. I don't know. There was a dip like that. I think more or less probably going to be a bad tick. Um, I don't have that on 24 hours. Okay. But yeah, maybe that's on its way up. Alex is sharing. He's got an open order. So him and I tend to be on the same page as far as these futures set, setups go. All right. SPY. That's not taking out the high, but it's gapping up an inside bar. So the Qs look better. I just want to see IWM where that's gapping to. Gapping up toward the top of the topping tail bar. So the Qs, as they have been, are being fueled by the semiconductors primarily. And the semiconductors gapping up like that, I probably going to want some kind of correction bar on the 5-minute to consider that long, but we'll see how it plays out. Yeah, so this is gapping up into the topping tail bar. And SPX, which I had to write down the numbers from the other platform before we got started here. The bottom number is interesting. If it hasn't changed, let me see. It's changed. It was 6660, the devil number. And it's backed off a little bit. Yeah, now it's 6670. Just a few minutes ago, it was 6660. Uh, let's check. Well, that one hasn't changed. Okay. And well, prices are here. I mean, uptrend multiple time frames, the put side, which has been the way to go. Right. So, as I said earlier, more of the same. All yours, Dan. Well, with this gap in AMD,
we aren't fundamentalists, but I was just curious. It's like, how did how are these buyers calculating the value of what to pay up on this thing? I mean, that is I think the news said 35% on a big liquid, big market cap company to be gapping up 35%. That's monstrous. So, as a contrarian, it's a very, very bullish gap. A gap over a red bar. We actually had this as a directional over this bar, and then the gap on Thursday messed it up. But we have a put spread, which is the alert I just said, and I'll explain it in 5 minutes. Alex Thomas, and we've talked about it many times, so it'll just be a refresher, hopefully. So I have this as a call spread watch, because just crazy big gap. But look at pre-market is amazing strength. Amazing. There's zero reason to short this yet. That's, I'm sure there's some very unhappy people, that are short. All right, let me go through alarms like I always do first. All right, so Paul, we're in this in the ETF letter. Up alarm went off at 118 there. Got a ton of alarms, and because so many things are extended, believe it or not, it was hard for me to find bullish directional trades in the letter. The prior weekend, it was shooting ducks on a pond. We had a really good week in all three of our letters. So we have a bunch more put spreads in the weekly, but it was hard finding directionals. But silver, we're in trail mode in the ETF. Roku. Actually, if we were not in this is actually an excellent pattern to go long. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We're already in it though. And we also have a put spread, but that alarm just went off. Looks great. Toll House cookies. Not crazy about a directional, but my alarm went off. I like that as a put spread. Shop alarm just went off. That was a put spread. Now somebody might say, well, damn, why? It's up 5 bars. Why are you giving that? Well, because you got to look at bar by bars. So this was a deep buy setup, and then these 3 bars, what was resting, and then Friday was a gap igniting breakout. Now I wouldn't touch it as a directional unless I got a couple consolidation bids. But again, it's a put spread. But the gap's messing us up. There's no way we're going to get filled. So I got to cancel it, because if we did get filled, we don't want it, because that would be an ugly gap reversal. So I just canceled that. Cancel it on the spreadsheet. Microsoft, I have as a put spread. I did my alarm go off. Reset it. No, it didn't go off. All right, continuing. SanDisk. I have this as a call spread, but it's not going to trigger. So, but if it does, it's fine. Oh, with the news with AMD, look at MU also. So this, shoot, I was hoping it would get to 200. The bigger the gap, the better. And then this would be, notice how this one's retracing already a lot, whereas that AMD is not yet. So this is a beautiful call spread watch, maybe 30-minute low as a gap crap. Bryant gapping up. We have a put spread, so that's looking better than the close. FSL gapping up. We're short naked puts, and I tighten the stop under this 15-minute pivot. Arm. These are all alarms going off. Up alarm. Let me move stop 30-minute low on arm. 1 second. And we actually might meet our target here at the open, which was 10 cents. Oh, you're shorting AMD? Did it reverse pre-market? Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, I mean, like you said, that's my bias also, that and MU. Arm. Good. BMNR. I have been watching this thing for weeks. My alarm went off, but I got no interest in that. Curve. Now this actually is, if it goes sideways another day or two, then over Thursday's high. I do now, Greg. I like it as a continuation trade, but we're already in this as a put spread. So up alarm went off. Bro, asking about NEM. You know what, Ro? Raul saying NEM long. You know, without me even looking at it, there's a 99% chance the answer is heck no. And why do I say that? Simple. Your GDX. You think I'm going long this? You're out of your friggin' mind. You know, your entry was here and red bar ignored. We actually were in this GDX right there on that red bar ignored breakout. I remember doing a chart last month. So now let's look at it though. So it's actually better than GDX. It's better than GDX because this is more like a rectangle consolidation. But look at the weekly and monthly. I just think you are on borrowed time with this sector. If you're in it, enjoy the ride, but I'm not crazy about new gold stocks here. And then fly gapping up here from a Climo recent IPO. So that's on my put spread and long watch list. Look at, you gave you a double bottom here pre-market. I use pre-market in my analysis, particularly gap trading in the morning, and that's a beautiful pattern pre-market. I just had NXPI alarm go off. Oh, good. We had a put spread on this. I didn't like the close, but there was no reason to get out. So I will be watching the spreads at the open. Start tightening stops. I gotta open my some big computer. Charter up alarm. That was in the weekend letter for put spread. That's triggering. Okay, so that's a go if you get filled. Tell subscribers. Yeah, no, because our general rule is if something gaps over the entry, wait for a 5-minute high or pullback, depending on Um, the pattern, of course. So this one, it's good to go. If we get filled of whatever I gave in the weekend letter, it's good to go. All right, NXPI. I'm just gonna put an order out here for 50 cents. Or 40. Which I think is 50% of max profit. Let's see, the weekly. NXPI, yeah, we shorted it for 70. So I'll do 35. Which will be 50% of max profit. Q's pre-market, Q's and spiders have beautiful 5-minute pre-market leading into the bell here. So yeah, I still have a bullish price here. Oh, our Ford got an upgrade. We sold half we have long calls on this red bar ignored continuation. So we sold half already. A lab. Well, of course he's thinking long, Alex. That's a gap from a big old 10-day turn at the 50. So Thomas, watch it on a pullback. If you get a controlled 15-minute buy setup, then yeah. I mean, it's at this gap, so it'd be a much better pattern if it didn't have this gap, if it were fluid coming down. But you can watch it for 15 buy setup. All right, Buffet. I just had an up alarm go off. We have long calls on this. Okay. Bullish up alarm. Nice. We're long stock on this, and I think puts for it too. Yeah, I'm in a put spread. Yeah, so yeah, this one's in both letters. I'm gonna bid 20. Close this. All right, so MU is not going anywhere. Look, I say AMD. Whoa, nice. Okay, so they see profit taking. I mean, I just think people have total rocks on their head to buy an opening gap like this. So just common sense is there should be selling at the open. It's like, are you out of your friggin' mind? Greg, we can do the 270s. 270, 300, $30 wide. It's 91 cents. We'll let it settle down a little bit. Fine. MU, let's check. All right, Qs. All right, so the Qs and spiders failed that little bullish 5-minute leading into the open. Yeah, I got a number of alarms going off. Yeah, I'm too busy. But it, yeah, Paul up alarm. Circles coming in. CNC alarm looks fantastic. URG We've been in this little slow mover for a while. All right, cool, nice trade. Yeah, if I were you, I'd keep 20 shares. Microsoft. Wow, look at Amazon Meta taking more of a jump. All right, Microsoft is a put spread. Look at Amazon. We actually, I forget. Yeah, I forget if we had a put spread last week or not. But yeah, we got Microsoft and Guggenheimer moving up, and Amazon and Meta down, and Tesla up. Look at Mags here. Mags is that's either an M top or it's a consolidation and a powerful railroad track uptrend. Oh, let me look at this AMD now. Yeah, for our put spread. All right, I just wanted the spreads to tighten. Okay, so Thomas, whoever asked me, Alex, etc. So you can buy the 125 puts. Let me see which ones were in AMD. Oh no, so wow, I'm shocked they're this expensive.